Is 2022 going to be the year of the electric vehicle? Well, the short answer is yes. Many big automakers, including Ford, GM, Hyundai, and Volkswagen, have dozens of models coming up before 2030. But there are some recent additions to the EV marketplace that signal 2022 is going to be a big year. Buckle up for ludicrous speed. Up next on Fact Bites. And while you're charging your EV, take a minute to like and subscribe. Flashback to 2010. The television series Lost had just ended, Apple debuted the first ever iPad, and we got our first production all-electric vehicle. Flash to 2022, there are officially 10 million electric vehicles on the world's roads, accounting for approximately 1% of all total vehicles. In the first quarter of 2021, EV sales rose by 140% compared to the first quarter of 2020. Tesla delivered a record number of vehicles in 2021, just shy of 1 million. If you're living in or near a major city, you probably see EVs every day now. In the US, approximately 17 million passenger vehicles, cars, and light trucks are sold each year. In 2021, EVs made up about 2% of that total. So, as we look ahead to the future, is 2022 going to be the year that tilts the scales for EVs? Well, it certainly looks like it. For the first time ever, Motor Trend's Truck of the Year award went to an all-electric truck, the Rivian R1t. And that's not in the electric truck category, that's all trucks. But who can blame them for handing out that award? It's a full-size, all-electric truck that does 0 to 60 in 3 seconds, has a range of 314 miles, and is the only truck that I know of that comes with a Bluetooth speaker in the console. There's now a 2-year backlog of reservations for the truck, which started deliveries in late 2021. But that's not all of the mainstream praise for EVs. Motor Trend also labeled the Lucid Air, a fully electric sedan, the Motor Trend's 2022 Car of the Year. That marks only the 4th time in history that Motor Trend has named an EV the Car of the Year. And again, for good reason. While it's a young company, the Lucid Air is pretty darn cool. It's the most energy-efficient electric car sold in America, and it has a range of up to 520 miles, and it has up to 1,111 horsepower. Okay, so 2 EVs won Motor Trend's awards in the same year. So what? Well, you're probably thinking it's a fluke, but you should get used to hearing about EVs winning awards, because by 2024, 100 all-electric vehicles are projected to debut. There will be over 45 all-electric vehicles that either launch or debut in 2022. Automakers are hopping on the EV train in a big way, and here's the reason to take all of this seriously. The original reason for these electric vehicles was so that we could save the freaking planet. There aren't any nursing homes for Mother Earth. And word about this whole climate change ordeal has gotten around to many governing bodies. There are a lot of bans on internal combustion engines, or just normal, regular gasoline cars, right around the corner. The United States will be joining China and Japan in banning new internal combustion engines, or ICE, vehicle sales by 2035. And most of the countries in Europe are banning them by 2030. And since all of these proposed bans, a lot of auto manufacturers are announcing plans of their own. Mazda, Mitsubishi, and Nissan have announced plans to reach net zero carbon emissions by 2050. GM and Honda want all of their sales to be carbon neutral electrified vehicles by 2040. GM aims to have eliminated diesel and gas powertrains by 2035. Audi and Volkswagen are no longer producing ICEs by 2033. And Ford boasts that its passenger vehicles will be 100% emissions-free in Europe by 2030. Car manufacturers are going electric, and they're not doing it slowly. So if you're thinking to yourself, darn, I'm so sad, I'll never be able to afford one of those calculators on wheels, well, don't get too upset just yet. From June of 2020 to June of 2021, the average cost of EV transactions in the US dropped from $57,480 to $49,766. Every other normal vehicle segment, other than vans and high-performance cars, actually increased in price during that timeline. Battery costs have dropped as much as 90% in the past decade, which has helped the total cost of EVs to drop on average. And some of the EV batteries aren't just standard lithium-ion batteries anymore. New battery technology is coming out all the time, making them cheaper. Some analysts are actually predicting that the average cost of an EV will be cheaper than the average price of a gas-powered car in just a few years. Volkswagen has already announced plans to make their EVs cheaper than their gas-powered cars. On top of that, the US already has some pretty awesome financial incentives for buying electric. As of this episode, you can get a tax credit of up to $7,500 for buying an electric vehicle. However, be sure to check before you buy. Those tax credits only exist until a certain number of models are sold. For example, no Tesla models are currently eligible for tax credits, but a Nissan Leaf is, which makes the $27,000 sticker price end up being under $20,000. And if you're a naysayer of EVs due to range anxiety, you should reconsider. Charging looks a lot different than a conventional gas station fill-up. Over 80% of EV charging occurs at people's homes, which shows us that, unlike gas users, most EV users do not depend on public stations. Sorry if I offended anyone who keeps a giant tub of gasoline in their home to fill up. If you're not one of the lucky ones with at-home infrastructure for EV charging, or you have family a few states away and you need to drive longer than your car's range, well, we actually have enough charging stations to account for a third of the total gas stations in the US. Not bad for the early days of electric. On top of that, the United States has released plans to build 500,000 electric charging stations across the United States. Contrary to popular belief, we have the EV car charging infrastructure in place, with plans for it to get better. It's just never going to look like gas stations because, well, it's different. Doesn't it sound nice not having to fill up your car with gas once a week? Still not convinced? Well then, let's just look at some super cool EVs coming up. We already talked about the Rivian R1t and the Lucid Air, but let's look at some other current and upcoming EVs, starting with practicality. Let's start with the Nissan Leaf, a simple, compact sedan. It's got a range of 226 miles, and the best part is that it starts at $27,400. Slap on that government tax credit, and now you've got yourself a very affordable all-electric four-door car. They're available for purchase right now. What about the Mustang? No, not the one you're used to, the Mach-E Mustang, Ford's crossover resembling electric variation of the Mustang. It starts at $43,000 with a range of 270 and a 0 to 60 in 5.2 seconds, with a better range option of 314 miles and a GT option that goes 0 to 60 in 3.5. Liked the Rivian but want a classic brand? How about Ford's electrified pickup, the F-150 Lightning? It's got an estimated 230 miles standard range, all the bells and whistles of the normal F-150, and it'll have the ability to act as a backup generator for your house. The truck starts at $40,000 and should be in driveways in spring of 2022. There's an extended range battery option that will take you up to 300 miles. Chevy also just debuted its all-electric Silverado. Want something flashier? Check out the Audi E-Tron Gt Rs. 630 horsepower, 0 to 60 in 3.1, and all that classic luxury of an Audi with a mean sporty look. Or the Porsche Taycan Turbo S. 750 horsepower and a 2.4 second 0 to 60. The Audi's going to cost you about $140 and the Porsche will cost you about $185, but 2.4 seconds is Bugatti Chiron territory, and that's pretty cool. Not flashy enough for you? Then check out the Hummer EV. All the audacity and size of a normal Hummer, just with far less climate murder. Starting at $80,000, these puppies have a standard range of 250 with 625 horsepower, but can be maxed out to 300 miles and 830 horsepower. Plus, there's still Tesla's long promised and much delayed Cybertruck. Yeah, this crazy looking thing. Nonetheless, get ready to start seeing more EVs on the road, if not in your driveway. Electric vehicles are coming into prominence in a big way, and automakers are making their shifts apparent. Get ready for 2022, which will be the biggest year for EVs to date. Do you have an EV? What about a favorite up-and-coming model of one? Let us know in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And as always, thanks for watching.